So Matthew again complains Padme had no reason to like Anakin because he was an asshole from the start, and Padme had no reason to love him as he was evil from the start, as all he did was bitch everyone out. While being whiny and complaining about being meanly treated, so a teenager, or better yet a person, that he bitched our Padme again when she bitched him out. So he stood up for himself, made blatantly traitorous remarks. No, he criticized democracy and a very corrupt democracy as he killed a bunch of animals, and again, he said this is all he did, so basically Matthew continues to repeat the criticisms of Anakin being an asshole for standing up for himself, not believing in mainstream politics, believes in complaining, so not being a tool, and he again blatantly ignores all the kind, brave, and selfless things he did. He stole Padme's heart by comforting her, showing interest in her, saving her life twice, being a Jedi Knight, and complimenting her. Get it? Oh, and Reviewer 1 is clearly rewatching the Bourne Identity or writing this, as he wanted to backtrack again and comment that Bourne had a lot of things Anakin are being pushy about. Self-centered, and an assassin, yet a woman loved him. Same for Daniel and the Karate Kid. So recall the dialogue complaints are really thin, but also we have the complaints of Redlettermedia that Lucas is notorious for not being an actor's director, as he just treats actors as he sees them as tools, which Reviewer 1 has watched over 100 hours of behind-the-scenes features that's to rebuke. Oh, he really needs to get a life. The complaint is another Lucas bashing complaint, as a long list of complaints on Lucas's that are contradictory, unfair, and biased, so let's look at all the complaints where we're at it, even though it's off the point. 1. People have complained Lucas doesn't really direct his actors at all, which is based on the criticisms of his actors in A New Hope, and also to THX1138, as well as American Graffiti. On A New Hope, his actors like Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Anthony Daniels say he would just say faster and more intense and be critical and demanding, and on American Graffiti, the actors say he would let them improvise lines, and blocking and giving no directions, and people have used this to say he's a bad director as he doesn't direct, and said that the actors saying this proves it, and they are a reliable source. Which is really interesting, as this would mean he did give the actors a lot of freedom, but so now that is a bad thing? Yet if he, according to you, tells them what to do, he is too controlling, so really he can never do it right. 2. He uses a clip where he tells Hayden Christensen he rewrote his dialogue, putting a thinking cloud above him, which said, "I cannot stand this guy again." Interesting, as directors and writers don't have to consult their actors on everything, and do quick rewrites all the time, and also Christensen is shown being open with Lucas as well as McGregor, with Lucas even giving him the choice whether he wanted to do a stunt himself or not, and Hayden constantly praised Lucas. Oh, but the praising of the rest of the crew was all faked. Right, but all the criticisms are sincere? 3. Yeah, just wanting actors to act by your script and directions is what David Fincher does, who only directed great films and great acting, and who called actors wonderful tools on the audio commentary of The Game, and John McTiernan in James Cameron, Quentin Tarantino, Robert Zemeckis, and on some films Steven Spielberg. All this, the Coen brothers, Ridley Scott, and even Francis Ford Coppola all go a little beyond Faster and Solo by their own admissions, but in their case it is great, right? 4. Lucas actually directed most actors highly on his popular films. James Earl Jones' interviews you can find on YouTube describes him directing him wanting a darker voice on Episode 4, and on Episode 5 a constant non-seductive robot voice to convey he was really not human, and on Episode 6 he worked with Ian McDiarmid on the Emperor's voice. Oh, we can see him on the documentary From Star Wars to Jedi telling Mark Hamill he specifically doesn't take out his lightsaber and that he doesn't want to fight. Yeah, he was actively present on the set of both Empire and Jedi, working with the actors, and on the special visual effects and direction, and he himself said he was on the set a lot and directed the second unit. Yeah, this is meandering, but so he didn't just hand over the acting to people who knew what they were doing. In another documentary, he even talks on how he likes on no acting and wanted innocence in Mark Hamill and roughness for Harrison Ford. 5. Taking only the word of the people who criticize Lucas as fact is rather unfair, as there have been a lot of arguments for credit, like between the writers and producers of Alien, as well as the actors of Aliens and The Social Network, saying these directors, who are often cited to direct detailedly, left everything to them, because like with actors on the original trilogy, it gives them higher status. Duh! Also, what do we base Gary Kurtz challenging Lucas on? Well, Gary Kurtz, Keschner being responsible for Empire we based on. 6. Also, does anyone find it strange that Lucas would hire newbies to work with little direction? I mean, Coppola, Scott, and the Coens use veterans when they don't want to direct. Also, he would Really? Allow newbies to block the scenes? Really? 7. So Lucas, when doing the prequels, magically started to detailedly direct actors, because we see him do it with great detail on the behind the scenes, but that is beside the point. But supposedly saying faster, more intense is bad also. Okay, so let's drop the nonsense of Lucas being a bad actor's director. Again, a lot of people who didn't like the film criticized Hayden and some Natalie. But really, Ian McGregor is just silly, that is just exaggerating. He is a friendly mentor, a jokey, more self-confident, yet really shocked when Anakin turns evil. He can be worried and critical, but also comforting and even angry. He got the sadness across, and he really had chemistry with Hayden Christensen, being very regretful and judgmental near the end, but also gets his sadness, caringness, and pride across in how he smiles with him, and how he yells at him, very intensely on Mustafar. And Samuel Jackson would again be bland in these, even though again acts very cold to Anakin. And he can be worried, and also again dark and menacing like he wasn't unbreakable, yet comforting when he tries to get Anakin to trust him and stay in the Jedi Temple. And he would be banned when he said that his worst fears had been realized. Well, no depressed, just not horribly scared. He is a Jedi, and he is going to try and beat Palpatine before he can spring his trap. He is calm yet worried. Matthew compares this more softer voice performance to him in the Clone Wars, but Obi-Wan, in the original trilogy, and Gandalf, Mr. Miyagi, most wise mentors talk like that.